What's your take on aliens?
What are these things, Anthony? What the fuck are they?
I believe that we're not alone. That's for sure. I don't believe we're alone. Do I believe they're here or they've been here? That's a possibility. I don't know what these drones in New Jersey, what they are. If you had committed a crime in Philadelphia, you gave them an envelope. And if you didn't give them an envelope, you were going.
Right. And
now all of a sudden he's got a podcast.
Right, what Anthony's saying is right. He's half in, half out. You can't be on a podcast talking this gangster shit and say you're not a rat when you're doing the same thing that we're doing.
Okay, we got Anthony Ruggiano in the waiting room.
What's up, cuz?
What's up, man? What are you doing?
Wait, I see you guys.
Good to see you, Anthony.
I was just watching John Jr. on Patrick Ben Davis show.
Yeah, he's full of shit.
We just spoke.
Bloviate.
We just spoke about that. So we.
How does he? Let me ask you a question: is he allowed to admit that? Is he even allowed to admit on TV that he was a boss or Sammy was an underboss? Isn't that admitting to being an organized crime? I'm just confused.
Well, he said his father shelved him. He said, but he don't take no responsibility for his actions. Nothing. He only got in trouble because of everybody that cooperated. He was totally innocent of killing that kid on Jamaica Avenue and killing poor Vinny Sinamo, hanging him from a tree and making out it was a suicide. That was all made. That was all. The informants lied about all that.
I know. Yeah. Everyone's a liar. Yeah. I know.
I was shocked he didn't talk about Johnny Alite. He wouldn't talk about Johnny because of his daughter's death.
And not only that, he couldn't because you want to know what? You know what's something funny? They just put out a TikTok of him and Johnny Alite getting patted down by the police. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, I saw it. That was outside of Channel 80.
So he's claiming that he's never with this guy, but it seems like he's always with this guy and everything.
I think I'm not sure, but I think that John's daughter that passed away, I think he's her godfather.
He is. Yeah. He was. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How are you, Anthony?
I'm good. How are you? How's everything?
I'm good. It's been
up in Canada. You're up in the 51st state of the United States.
Yes, yes. We were just talking about that.
Trudeau's going to be the new governor.
You know what, man? It's ridiculous what's going on here, and he doesn't have a lot of support of the people. But the way the government system is set up is there's a party that is like in third place, and they are giving him the support he needs to stay in power until an official election. So we're not happy about it. I was reading today that he's pushing back on Trump's tariffs, and he wants to push back because Trump keeps roasting him on Truth Social. And I'm like, what are you doing trying to fight with our neighbors? Just come together, right? It's crazy. We don't have a military.
It's crazy. So what else? What's going on? I haven't spoke to Gene in a while.
What's going on, Ant?
I saw your rant the other day on Instagram about whoever you wanted to beat up this time.
They're putting up fake things about me on that. Are you dating the same person? Facebook shit. They're trying to say I cheated on my girlfriend. I didn't. It was a fucking lie.
Which girlfriend? The one you got now?
Yeah, Jordan. Yeah, the girl I've been with. Yeah,
the one in Miami.
Yeah.
Where do you find these blondes?
Tampa's flooded, bro. Tampa's
I know. I'm going to New York tomorrow.
I'll be there on the 20th.
Yeah, I'm going tomorrow. I got to go. Teresa's husband died. Our cousin's husband died.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the funeral Saturday. I'm going to go out to Islip Saturday.
Okay.
So I'm going in tomorrow for a couple of days. So what do you need? What do you want to talk about?
So when did you guys what age were you, Gene, when you met Anthony?
I met him when he was born.
Young. Yeah, since I'm young.
Listen,
at my confirmation party, I got the video of me and his son dancing, and then his son going, "Dad, I want to say, I know you're in the military right now, so I'm gonna."
Yeah, I was in jail. I don't know if you can see this. See that picture? You see?
I got that posted.
You see that? The guy, that's me with the cowboy hat. You see me with the cowboy hat?
I got it on my Instagram, that picture.
And the guy that's holding me is Gene's grandfather. That's my uncle. This picture was taken in that was Christmas Eve, 1955.
Oof.
Yeah. That was his grandfather was a teenager.
So 𝐮 shared a story of how there was a potential kidnapping, put out for him a long time ago when his dad committed an offense. He offended somebody.
Yeah.
Can you just for the people that are new to this, how do you approach a situation like that to get this person out of that scene? Is it you call a mutual, you set it up, you have a conversation, you pay somebody? How does this work?
How would I get someone out of that scene? Well, first of all, I would find out, I would have to know who snatched them, and then I would find out if they're around anybody, and then I would go see whoever they're around and say, what are these guys doing? They snatched this guy that's with us, and, I would start negotiating.
That's what it comes down to, terms.
Yeah.
Yeah, my father ran off with a lot of money on people in Canada.
Yeah, that was probably when I was away. You see, you got to understand, This is what happened with 𝐮. And so when I went away in November of 1996, when I went away, 𝐮 was 12 years old and my son was 13 years old. I'm in jail for 8 years and 3 months. Towards the end of my bid, I'm hearing stories about your cousin 𝐮, your cousin 𝐮, your cousin 𝐮. When I went away, he was a little kid. He was 12. Now I come home in 2004, and he's, 𝐮. He's running the streets. And I met him in the hair salon. I go to the hair salon to get a manicure and a haircut, and he's in the hair salon like Al Capone, getting a manicure, a haircut. And and then he's big shot. He paid for my manicure, my haircut, and everything. He wouldn't let them take no money off me. Only I was going to that woman for 20 years. He wouldn't let them take no money. So I went away.
Angela loved you.
I put Angela on the map. Me and Ronnie.
I know she loves you. She always talked about you. Yeah. Ronnie One-Arm too. She loved you and Ronnie One-Arm. Ronnie One-Arm.
I brought Ronnie One-Arm. They used to get his one hand manicured.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when I came out, 𝐮 was a big shot.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like there's a lot of love between you guys, so it's always good to see that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and obviously Anthony, the brand Reformed Gangster, you're still running with that, right? Because we love that brand.
Yes, that's my brand. That's my podcast, my merch, Reformed Gangster, Reformed Gangsters, plural.
Right.
Yeah.
I was speaking to 𝐮 earlier about God and a higher power, and we got into aliens. What's your take on that? What's your take on aliens?
What are these things, Anthony? What the fuck are they?
I believe that we're not alone. That's for sure. I don't believe we're alone. Do I believe they're here or they've been here? That's a possibility. I don't know what these drones in New Jersey, what they are. I don't think they're aliens. I think it's some kind. I don't know. I don't know what it. I don't think it's an alien thing. I think it's just either some crackpot or some foreign country or something underhanded. That's for sure. I don't. It's got to be something underhanded. But I definitely don't think we're alone. For sure. Well, why would we be alone?
And Congress is coming out with it, and they're saying that these things are in the water.
And let me tell you something. If anybody's going to reveal it, it's going to be Trump. He's going to reveal
100%. He's dying to. Yeah, he's dying to reveal it.
Once he takes that oath on January 20th, I think he's going to reveal a lot of stuff. I think he's going to reveal all this P. Diddy stuff and all this Epstein stuff, and that's how he's going to get even with everybody. He's going to put all their shit in the street, all their business in the street. Now you want to play? Yeah. You wanted to play with me? What about this?
I'm going on News Nation tonight for the thing with the guy who killed the CEO in New York.
Yeah, Luigi. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're making him out to be a martyr.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane what's going on with that. So back to what we were talking about earlier about the interview with PBD, PBD's interview with John Gotti Jr. So I didn't watch the entire thing. It just dropped. But he said a lot of things about Sammy. Obviously, I think we've all sat down with Sammy, interviewed Sammy. What was there some truth to what he was saying in the entirety of the interview or no?
Listen, I think Patrick let him off the hook a lot of times. I think Patrick let him go on and on and on and on without putting him in check. When it gets to Sammy, he says, he's angry. He's angry. I mean, Sammy, and this is my thing. I cooperated, 𝐮 cooperated. This is my thing. They keep saying guys like John Jr. and this fucking Joey Molina, another fucking blowjob. He's
Yeah,
another guy.
asshole.
He's another guy. And they keep saying these rats, these informants, they wreck families, they ruin families, they put people in jail. Listen, it takes two to tango.
I know.
You know what I mean? The people that went to jail weren't altar boys. They were criminals.
Not only that, well, they're the ones ordering the shit.
Yeah, listen, I testified at trials where people murdered people. They were murderers. I have no beef with his family, with his sisters, with his mother. They were all always good to me. They were always good to my family, my wife Alice, my son Anthony. His father treated me like a son. His father was great to me. Even when I was fucked up on drugs, his father never turned his back on me, always helped me. But I take responsibility for my actions. I was a violent criminal that did horrendous things to my family, to the people around me. This kid takes no responsibility for anything, nothing. He got two innocent people killed for no reason. He stabbed a kid on Jamaica Avenue to death. Yeah, he killed the kid on Jamaica for no reason. He stabbed him to death. And how I know is because Tony Lee, my old man's partner, and Sally Al had all the NYPD connections, and they got the whole case buried. And then there was the kid Vinny Sinamo, who was in the bar that was telling people what he saw, and all of a sudden the kid committed suicide and hung himself from a tree in Forest Park. The kid never committed suicide because John profited and said Angelo Ruggiano and Joe Watts killed the kid and made out it was a suicide. But according to him, the informants wrecked his family. Sammy wrecked his family. I don't know.
Listen, he'll only tell his side. He'll only tell that side. We know he sat down. We know he did profits. Right there, it's a death sentence. He has to just stop the shit already. Him, Joey Merlino. Listen, Joey Merlino never did profits, but he's doing the same thing as far as like going on the internet. You know what I mean? It's just
because
the
they have nothing
shit.
to say. No, they have nothing to say. These guys never left their neighborhoods.
Right.
Me and my brother were all over town. Me and my brother were all over town. Sammy the Bull just texted me.
What do you say?
I can't read it because I'm on with you guys. He was watching the show. I'm going to go on with him at 3:00.
Yeah, it's fuck. Yeah, you know, this John. Like I said, this John Jr. is full of shit. All he does is knock everybody, talk about this one, that one. I mean, let's just be honest. And I know the family pretty well myself, and I can tell you that Victoria Gotti, who she called the police on people before. You know, these people have all done things in that nature. I know for a fact she called the cops on kids that beat her son up. If you're still against ratting, they all do this stuff. You know, I was very close with the grandson. He worked for me. Yeah. He cooperated on the case before he was when he was young.
Listen, this is the bottom line. This is how I clarify the whole thing. He says he didn't do nothing wrong. He got out of the life. He told his father to shelve him, and he didn't do anything wrong. Today, you could bet, and I know this from people in the neighborhood, his uncle Jeannie is home. Now, Jeannie Gotti is a gangster, 100% Costa Nostra to the heart and soul, just like my own man, just like his brother John, 1,000% in the life. Don't have nothing to do with him. Don't talk to him. Don't look at him. Has nothing to do with him. Why is that? If he was such a wonderful guy and he didn't do anything wrong, why wouldn't his Uncle Gene talk to him?
Right. It's so true.
And that's the answer in a nutshell.
When they show you out.
If Jeannie's not talking to him, something's wrong.
Yeah, of course. They know the deal. They know he did profits. They know he put names in profits. You know, they even say Joe Watts profit. I'll be honest with you.
I mean, I know Joe Watts. Listen, and when anything surprised me, I mean, Willie Boy was an informant. Listen, it's all over.
Right.
Listen, I just got a picture. My nephew found a picture of when I was in Elmira in 1998. It was the last time I saw my father alive. He came to visit me in Elmira. I was in Elmira waiting to go to the feds. And on that visit, he told me the life is over. I said, what are you talking about? He goes, the two things we had gone for us are gone. I said, what's that? He goes, everybody feared us and nobody cooperated. He said, nobody fears us no more and everybody's cooperating.
I was just telling him that. The fear's gone. You know what I'm saying? I was just telling him that.
That's what made the mob the mob was the fear factor.
There you go. Right. There's no threat assessment. It's all empty threats. Nobody's scared
Listen,
no
you
more.
can't listen to me.
You can't.
How you gonna look at this kid? I mean, listen, a horrendous crime just happened in Manhattan. This kid, Luigi, whatever his name is, gunned down the CEO. Do you see the cameras? There's cameras
Technology.
all over the place.
All over. They got him right away. It was crazy.
How are you going to get away with anything? They followed this kid step by step by step by step until they caught him in the McDonald's. Well, how are you going to get away? You can't get away with a crime today.
You can't.
The other guy, the guy on the train, look, everybody was taping him on the train. It's impossible.
Right.
It's over. Anybody that fears the mob, you know who has more fear than the mob? All these crazy gangs. MS-13, because they're lunatics.
They're disgusting, though.
Yeah, because they're lunatics. That's why in their neighborhoods, people fear them, because they're insane.
They're hurting children, raping women. That's a whole new ballgame.
That's why people in their neighborhoods fear them.
Yeah, of course. They're savages.
Because they're savages, exactly.
Right.
So can I jump in? So just to push back a little bit with, for example, Joey Merlino, like what's if there is no fear, if everybody's snitching, like what's the big deal in terms of what he's doing now? Like this isn't the 60s and the 70s.
Well, then don't call people rats if you're doing the same thing.
A big deal. It's not a big deal to me. It's a big deal to guys in the life. Guys that are in the life that still profess that life, that still live in that life. They still have rules and regulations, even though the fear factor is gone. Guys in that position, the guy was an official boss of a crime family. He's not supposed to be on a podcast. He's not supposed to do interviews. A guy just reached out to me to do an interview, right? So we're negotiating a fee. He said he reached out to Joey, and Joey wanted 10,000.
Yeah, I told him that. He wanted 20 on one guy. Yeah.
Joey wanted 10,000.
Yeah.
What? To go gamble with? To buy cigarettes with? You know what I mean?
He's crazy. He thinks he's like Bruce Willis or something.
He said, Joey, I reached out to Joey Millennial. He wanted to know if I could talk to Joey. I go, no, I can't. He wants 10,000. Yeah.
10,000. Get the fuck out of here.
Listen, the bottom line is right. The fear factor's gone. But if you're in the people that are in that life, there's still rules and regulations that they should respect. And Joey disrespected it and got a podcast when he was the official boss. This guy killed people, gave orders to kill people. I mean, they ran it. Listen, I know them. I hung out with them. I know them. And I used to give them all their pride. They were my idols when I was in the street. This group of guys took over a city.
Yeah.
And they didn't take it over because they took it over out of fear, because people knew that if they didn't do what they wanted, they were going to get killed.
Right.
They had the whole city. They were shaking down everybody. Blacks, whites, Spanish. If you had committed a crime in Philadelphia, you gave them an envelope. And if you didn't give them an envelope, you were going.
Right. And
now all of a sudden he's got a podcast.
Right. What Anthony's saying is right. He's half in, half out. You can't be on a podcast talking this gangster shit and say you're not a rat when you're doing the same thing that we're doing. So, that's just why we don't care that he's on the podcast, but don't call us out when you're doing the same fucking thing.
If you go back 40 years ago, more than 40 years ago, if you go back 50 years ago to Joe Colombo, he got killed for that. He went on a talk show.
Right.
And did an interview, and that was
and they shot him. They shot him at the Italian thing, yeah.
So your beef is not that he has a podcast, but it's that you're part of that life, or you're half in that life, and you're still talking about it?
My beef with him is you broke the rules just like I broke the rules. You're no better than me.
Exactly.
So don't be calling me names. Don't be calling me names when you did the shit. He has as much juice in the Mafia as I have. None.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. It's the same. Yes. That's what I try to tell him. Yes.
Yeah.
It's true.
He has as much juice in the Mafia as I have, which is zero.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you something. Does in a perfect world, in another time, another setting, Anthony, do you and Joey sit down together? Do we do an interview together?
Not if he had a podcast. Not if he had a podcast. No. If I was still in the life and he had, I would be. He was my friend when we were in the street. He used to call my house. He was best friends with my own man. I would have to shun him now. If I was in the street now, and I was straightened out, I would have to shun him. I wouldn't be able to talk.
Nobody's allowed to talk to him anymore. They don't understand that. We know how it goes. They would say, "Don't speak to him. He's no good to us no more. He's not coming around no more." That's what it is.
Once he got shelved, that's it. I'm done with him.
He's not coming into social clubs no more. Nothing. He's vanished. That's what that they don't understand.
Actually, what I was referring, that was great, but what I was referring to was for a podcast. Can this happen without fireworks? Can you guys actually have a podcast?
It's just going to be arguing. It's just going to be scream match with us.
Why, you mean if I went on a podcast with him, it would never happen, and it would just be us yelling at each other. Yeah. First of all, he would never come on a podcast with me, and I would never really go on a podcast with him. You know what I mean? Like I live right near him. You know, I haven't run into him yet. You know what I mean? I haven't crossed paths with him yet. I missed him a couple of times in some restaurants, but I haven't run into him yet. But he's pretty much stopped talking about me. I have some tapes that I'm waiting to get. So my phone was tapped for a month. In 1995, my phone in Lindenwood in Howard Beach was tapped for a month, and he's on a lot of those wiretaps calling my house. You know, hey buddy, hey pal, I love you, tell you old man, and I was making appointments with him to meet with Gambino captains, with Nicky Carrazza and Lenny DiMaria, and I was like the go-between. So he said, oh, I didn't know the guy. He was a junkie. I only met him once for 10 minutes. I knew his father in Allenwood. My father hooked. So then I started talking about the tapes I got, and I found an old phone book like this. What it looked like. So back in the 90s, there was no cell phones like today. We had phone books. Right, and I found my old phone book, and sure enough, in my old phone book, I got Ronnie One Arm, this guy Pete Gotti. I got all these phone numbers, and then I got Joe Philly. I got his home number in my book. So ever since I started talking about this, he sort of like stopped talking about me. But so I'm gonna bring them tapes out soon. So it's all a bunch of bullshit.
Right.
Yeah, Anthony, I was gonna ask you. So when Gene and I were talking, we're talking about, regrets, life, things like that. We've heard your perspective on that. When somebody in that life, let's say Gene, like you guys we could speak openly about it. Let's say Gene says, I have no regrets in that life because the things I did the things that I did were done to people that either deserved it, or the real person that should, get in trouble is the guy that sent me to do it. Like, when you hear things like that, Anthony, because you have a different perspective on it, right? We've sat down together, and I know
my regrets are for the victims' families, our families. That's my regrets.
Right.
The people that we hurt. I mean, listen, the people that got killed, they broke the rules. Do I have regrets about how I behaved? Yeah, because look where it got me. But my regrets are to the people's family, like not thinking about the mothers and the wives and the kids.
Right.
Like I had no regard. Like, listen, when we clipped my brother-in-law, I had no regard for my sister or my niece or his family or his mother and his father. I was just cold-blooded. Did he deserve it? I believed he did. You know what I mean? That we believed he did deserve it. He was a dangerous. Other people that I know got clipped. Do I think they deserved it? Yeah, some of them did. But I feel now I have regrets about what I did to their families. Look, what I did to my own family. That's my regrets. My niece hates me. My niece told the judge to give me life in prison.
Yeah.
She's my niece.
Yeah, Jenna. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, Gene, when you hear something like that,
everybody in that life knows the deal. When you're in that life, you know the deal. There's always the possibility that you could get clipped. That's that, and that today maybe not so much as back in our day. My father used to tell me, if he ever got clipped, forget about it. He goes, if they ever find me in the street or I disappear, forget about it. Don't open your mouth. He used to tell me.
Gene, when you hear things like that about how Anthony views it, like obviously you understand where he's coming from, but does that kind of change a little bit your perspective at all?
I mean, yeah, I absolutely. But like I said, most of the time when I did go after people, it was for other people. It wasn't just me picking your name out of a hat. You know what I'm saying? So like, if we targeted you to do something, like Ronnie G and all these guys would say, scores and things like that. It wasn't like, yeah, I've done my own thing. But most of the time when I'm going after somebody, it's collecting their money, their problems, their situation. So at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, I regret maybe things I've done, but for the most part, these guys were borrowing money, not paying, or doing things they weren't supposed to, and they knew the consequences. So it's like almost, what do you want me to do? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I was actually in the life, I didn't have no regrets about anything. The regrets came later on as I got older.
I guess when I get older, maybe I'll feel the same way. But you know,
yeah, right.
We'll check in. We'll check in a few years.
We'll check in in a couple. When he gets I'll be dead when he gets to my age. Check in with him when he's 71.
I'll do that. I'll do
When
that.
the ghost, check in when he's sitting on the couch and he feels the ghosts in
yeah,
the
coming.
room.
Guys, when you were respectively, when you guys were out on the streets, who would you say would be the most powerful figure in that life from either of your generations?
Well, for me, it was definitely John Gotti and my own man. Well, when I was a kid, it was my own man. He was Superman and O'Neill Delacroix.
My
They were
era
like the
was
most powerful
my era
guys.
was Barney from the Genovese family. He was definitely the most powerful, dominant guy from my generation. From the he was one of the most respected feared men at the time when I was active. Everyone knew that. Yeah.
And how would you put those two guys together? Like, for example, John Gotti and him. Like, if
totally different. One's low profile, one's high profile. Barney, you don't even know he exists.
But he'll kill you in a second.
Yeah, exactly. But he's a gangster. John Gotti was all over over the front pages. Two totally different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, two totally.
But as far as the underworld, everybody knew that Barney was the most, for my time, I'm talking about the late 2000s, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah. Barney was the guy that everyone says, oh, that's not like the John Gotti, but he was like the most respected man they called the Genovese the Rolls Royce of the Mafia. That's what they called that family at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, they were very secretive. Very, very secretive.
Ran very well, very, very, very well operated. Very smart guy. He ran that family very down to a science. Captains, all the captains, situations, business. He was very smart in how he operated, and he was definitely one of the most respected men in my time. Or Nicky Carrazzo, even you could say, like he's still alive when I was out. Yeah.
Nowadays, guys, is it like or is all this stuff hidden, or do people still know like who's who nowadays in that life?
Well, the FBI definitely knows.
The FBI knows, yeah. They know the day you get made. The day you get in your ceremony, they fucking die. Yeah,
and everybody knows. Listen, I'm not even in the street and I get good information. I just found out, somebody just told me the other day that the Colombo family and the Bonanno family just straightened out 20 guys.
They have to. They got nobody.
Yeah, I just heard it the other day.
They got a raffle going on, Anthony. They put their names like this, and they go, all right, get your number. They got the raffle going.
They made Rockefeller.
Wait, number 17.
They made your friend Rockefeller the captain.
I like Mikey Rock, though. I do. I like Mike.
I don't even know. I knew his father and his uncles. I never knew him.
Yeah, they're all good people. His brother died. He's my good friend, Frankie Rock. Yeah.
I know.